All right, now, well, with the stormy pressure of Champions League qualification now upon us, it is no time to hide in the shelter and count our gains and say it's been a great year. We've won the League Cup. I'll be happy in sixth. No, we are going for more. And this Chelsea game, this game against Chelsea, is our opportunity to have probably my lifetime the best season as Newcastle fans. So, will we achieve it? Let's find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Sham win!
All right, folks. How are you all doing? I hope you've had a blessed day and having a great week. Whatever you're doing, whether you're about to go out on a night shift, where you finished your day of work, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you might be cleaning dishes. Some of you guys have been cleaning dishes and listening to me at the same time. If that helps you to clean the dishes quicker, then the show is doing its job. So, but tonight I'm really excited. First of all, I've got our very own, one of our very own regular attendees on the show, Bobby Fairview. He's going to be coming on to give us his Chelsea perspective, because we are obviously going to be doing a pre-match preview for the Chelsea game. And we're also going to have, obviously, actually he's here now, brilliant. And we've got our very special guest, Mitch here. You guys would have remembered him from coming on last time. He's also the founder and of the podcast of Where the Hours Sleep. So I'm super happy to have him on the show and to have you guys on here. So we've got lots to talk about. So let me first introduce Mitch as well. And great to have you, sir. Great to have you. How you doing?
Fantastic. Great to be back. Even better after that intro, to be fair. Loving that.
You know, we guys, I don't know if you guys watched Spurs Kings yesterday. I reviewed some of the stuff. It was so funny. Apparently, I'm not going to say who, but apparently one of the guys looks like Brian Mbeumo without the physical activity. So we were laughing about that for absolute ages, but no.
I was legit crying yesterday at one point. That was funny.
The show, it does that to you. Honestly, it does that to you. But folks, I've also got, and this is what I love when I get to do these kind of tactical previews with fans from rival clubs, but not only for fans from rival clubs. This fan, as you guys know, Bobby Fairview is one of our very own regulars here on Toon Tactics TV. So that makes me super delighted to have him. And in fact, before he comes on, he dropped me like a comment the other day on one of the shows, like giving an incredible tactical analysis on the game as well, on what we were talking about. So I'm super delighted to have you. So let me introduce you. I won't be introducing you guys. Some of you already know him, but let's welcome Bobby. Bobby, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad, Philip. How are you? Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Excellent, sir. I can. Big up to you, Mitch. Good to see you.
Big up, Bobby. Good to meet you, mate.
And let me apologize that folks can't see me. My Twitter profile is probably slightly controversial with the constant battle between the fan base and Clear Lake. So I'm obliged to keep my face covered in the meantime as we're fighting with billionaires.
Sounds like you're fighting the good fight. Sounds like you are fighting the good fight. But I'm super
on behalf of the fans.
Exactly. And I'm super happy to have you on, sir. So I'm going to go through the chats in a moment because I've got a few people already in the chats. Welcome the chat as well. For the folks that know, obviously, we're going to be doing we're going to do a pre-match preview for Sunday's game against Chelsea. And obviously Bobby Fairview, an incredible Chelsea fan here as well. So it's great to have the opposition's a view of things as well. I say opposition but at the same time, Bobby's one of our own. He's one of our own. He's one of our own. So it's great to have you. And with Mitch. So
Part-time
let me see.
magpie.
So say that again, sir.
Part-time magpie.
But
I love that.
Exactly. So we're gonna be doing that. Before we do that, though, guys, I'm gonna be because as always on Thursdays, there's tons of transfer news. Craig Hope released some stuff. Mark Douglas from the Iron newspaper released some stuff. I'm not able to go into all the depths about the various transfers just because of the sake of time, but I'm going to be doing that probably for the Tuesday show. So the likes of Jacob Ramsey stuff.
Ramsey, yep.
Yeah, Jacob Ramsey, Benjamin Sesko has been mentioned. I don't know if you heard that one, Mitch. Benjamin. Yeah, that's what I thought. Ross. Benjamin Sesko have been linked to him, possibly Konza, a whole load of other stuff, and I'm sure people in the chat know. So I wouldn't be doing these players justice by kind of rushing things through. We want to be able to break it down properly and to see, hopefully, are they upgrades on what we have or not. But I'm going to kind of go back over some of the it's going to lead us really nicely to the pre-match preview for the Chelsea game, because I'm going to kind of cover what our newspaper said, because they kind of gave a general overlook over things and the importance of Newcastle essentially getting to the Champions League. And I'm sure Bobby would be able to also emphasize the importance of Champions League for Chelsea as well. So both teams really, really need it. Before we get into that, we've got a few folks in the chat. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you, Liam Knowles. God bless you, sir. Not sure I can bring myself to watch the team. I hate that. I hate the most. The Spuds. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, congratulations, Tottenham. You made it to the final. Very well done. Very well played. Welcome to the land of milk and honey. Playing the team most hated in the country. Oh yeah. Manure, yeah, for a place in the Champions League. Never more undeserved. Ever. And I emphasize on the ever, because he really, really can't believe these guys are there. Liam Knowles, 2 teams battling out for 15th place in the league. Like watching 2 starving kids fighting over the last scraps of pud. Don't want Spurs to win a trophy. Don't want money. He really is not fancying this.
Not happy at all.
Bobby, how do you feel about Tottenham in the final? In fact, who would you prefer to win it?
You know what? This is a good point. Because I'm not a London-based fan, I don't suffer from the same tribalism that my fellow Chelsea fans suffer from. I never really appreciated the hatred for Tottenham. But I feel more strongly about United and Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Spurs to pip it.
Not fair play. That's what.
Fair point. Don't you feel that's similar? That's like me with Sunderland. Like a lot of Newcastle fans will speak about, like, we don't want Sunderland back. We want to see them rot. And I'm like, I don't particularly care about Sunderland, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying.
As like a London-based Newcastle fan, it's not a worry of mine, because I don't know any Sunderland fans at all. So it just doesn't faze me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's nice when we beat them, and we beat them fairly regularly. That's about it. But they obviously, the locals really, really hate each other. It's like Bloods and Crips, really. Liam Knowles, Champions League is the worst lose ever. See, I don't know who's seen that. Oh, yeah. Okay,
he's just trying not to swear. Yeah,
he's probably not feeling it. Liam's probably not feeling it. The Arsenal banter, though, by the way, since the Champions League, goodness gracious, social media, sheesh. Queen of Heart, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. God bless you. Hey, Philip, good evening. I hope you are well this evening. I am living life to the full, especially with you guys and our great guest on tonight. Adrian Pickett, God bless you. Good to see you. Ha. Thanks for unloading, Liam. You guys are welcoming each other. Mick, Queen of Hearts says, Mitch, always a pleasure on the channel. Brilliant. That's what I like when great guests on. Gents, salute to you, Liam. Salute to you. Okay, so Peeps just releasing. Oh, sorry, Queen of Heart Peeps just releasing stuff, and it is exciting. What are you releasing, Queen of Heart? Let us know. Have I missed something in the chat? What are you releasing?
I think she posted that as we was talking about transfer news coming out. So I think it could be linked to some of the new links that we've had coming through today.
Goodness, is there even more while we're talking? Do let me know in the chat, guys. Do let me know. We'll put them in the conversation, but we'll certainly be doing some more in-depth scouting profiling probably next week, Tuesday, where we'll probably be doing a match reaction as well. But just before we get into the Chelsea Newcastle Chelsea match preview, speaking of the transfers, I wanted to. Oh, already my camera's kind of a funny one.
Oh,
guess it's just us to carry on the show.
Yeah, it's just us for now. How are you feeling about this other semi-final going on in the Conference League? Who would you prefer to play?
Well, I mean, I haven't watched the other game yet, so I don't know the result. I'll probably find out throughout the course of this.
It's still going. They're in extra time at the minute.
Oh, they are. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Fiorentina should be an easier opponent for us. Betis, to me, although I'm surprised that Fiorentina caught him, Betis seems to be a lot more consistent.
Yeah. And Fiorentina seem to have a habit of losing in finals as well. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, they've lost a couple recently. Yeah. How did Newcastle manage to avoid this West Ham Cup?
It's actually. I actually find it quite unfortunate for us because as great as it was to qualify for the Champions League, it was way too early. So it would have been nice to have actually built up to be in the Champions League because we've skipped them
kind of like stepped up, yeah.
Because if we get it again this season, we've completely skipped the Conference League and the Europa League this time round. So it's sort of like just getting chucked in at the deep end and trying to figure out how to swim from there.
Because that would have been your easiest first trophy in a while if y'all played that the year you did it.
Yeah, that would have been the year that West Ham won it as well, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and you would have been. Yep. You would have taken West Ham's place possibly. Oh, here he is.
Brilliant. Can you guys see me and hear me?
Yeah. We got you back,
Philip.
It's all good. It's all great. When I have guests on, I don't know what goes on, but this job carrying on while I was away.
Yeah, at least we're here to carry on the show.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's just radio silence. Otherwise. But speaking of transfer, so I wanted to give like an overview because Mark Douglas from the newspaper gave a. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen first. Yeah, you can. Yeah, so Mark Douglas gave a newspaper. He gave kind of like I would say somewhat of a comprehensive take on everything in terms of Newcastle's kind of transfer strategy. And for the folks that know and be following the show, I view Mark Douglas and the newspaper, I view it as, I don't know if it's a bit too harsh. I don't know if it's crude to say, like the mouthpiece or certainly the chosen media outlet for Paul Mitchell, our sporting director. And for the folks that will remember, as I always like to say, Mark Douglas is the only journalist thus far outside of the Newcastle United media who's been able to get Mr. Paul Mitchell for an hour and a half interview to talk about, obviously, transfers in Newcastle. Paul Mitchell isn't quite enamored with some of our local journalists, shall we say. So I do take some of the information that Mr. Douglas gives as a way for our sporting director Paul Mitchell to kind of set the tone for what the transfer window could look like for Newcastle United. And I'll give like an overall kind of explanation of what he said, because obviously he's not the only article that came out. Craig Hope came out. I think Fabrizio Romano said some stuff today as well. I can't remember. But overall, what he was saying, Newcastle's transfer. Can you guys see that, Mitch? Can you see it?
Yeah. We got Jacob Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's having a laugh there.
He always is.
Newcastle's
His character is fantastic.
is brilliant.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's absolutely brilliant. So Newcastle's transfer priorities and the 5 players for their future. The 5 players fighting for their future. He does talk. He gives, like I said, gives a real comprehensive outlook. Interestingly, he mentions Jacob Murphy as one of the players fighting for his future.
Why is Jacob Murphy the poster boy for this article? I don't think Newcastle fans treat this player fairly.
I think he probably is, because he's the one that everyone outside of Newcastle would be surprised we're actively looking for an upgrade on because of the numbers. But I think most Newcastle fans feel that's the easiest position we've got to upgrade on at the minute.
Yeah,
for me, this guy, he's been doing really well this season. And I mean, in terms of decisiveness, impact on games, I don't think you can point to a better right winger in the league, other than maybe from Brentford.
Oh, Burma.
Yeah, numbers wise, he's right up there. I'll give you that 100%. And like, I will not say anything bad about Jacob Murphy. He's a very good player. What he does for us is fantastic. This season, he's been unreal. But I think overall gameplay wise, it would improve us as a team to have a sort of a different profile of right winger.
So a lot of the guys that we're looking at, Bobby, and for the folks in the chat, is guys that essentially can dribble, can take on a man, can go either side. Your Bakayokos, your Mbuemos, even Madueke at some points as well. They don't necessarily, although it is better, like they are better, but I think what we're looking for is a little bit more dynamism in that kind of sense. Whereas Jacob Murphy's thing is obviously his assists, his passing, his crossing.
His end product.
His end product, yeah.
His end product it supersedes the likes of Madueke, I would say.
Yeah, 100%.
Mitch definitely agrees with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Madueke whatsoever. Just in case you didn't know.
Okay, great. Philip, you're outnumbered. I'm ready to do that
totally.
I'm ready to do that swap right as soon as the window opens.
Well, interestingly, in the article, essentially, Mark Douglas talks about how, Newcastle are understood to want at least three first team ready players this summer, and then plan to do more player trading to enable them to sign 1 or 2 more. Quote, the intention is to strike quickly in the close season. In truth, they need to. So essentially, he breaks down the article in a number of different ways. One is to explain that no matter what, Newcastle have 3 priority signings, even though they said 4 previously. And he mentioned the centre-back position, the right-wing position, and the striker position. So essentially someone to rotate and compete with Isaks, a right-wing, to do a similar thing with Murphy. Obviously, Lang has been long linked. Though me and Mitch, I think we agree on at least the one person we do agree on is on Kulusevski, who we would like, and then the likes of obviously a right back, Mark Gahey, Malik Chow have been linked. All those type of things, guys have been linked, and which is interesting because we all know that we've also been linked with a goalkeeper that wasn't mentioned. I hope that's because we've already got the goalkeeper, and I'm hoping that's Mr. James Trafford. The other part it links to, when this is, we've got priority signings, these 3 priority signings, and 1 or 2 more. One of that obviously being the goalkeeper situation, and I'm hoping it will be a midfielder. But that is based on whether Newcastle can, or 2 things really. That is the player sales, and obviously whether Newcastle get into the Champions League or whether they get Champions League football, essentially. And for the folks that remember, I did my armchair accounting and finances, and there's a significant difference for us actually whether we get into the Champions League, or we're already in the Conference League, obviously, because we won the League Cup. But there's a significant difference in between us getting Champions League football or Europa League football. And it makes a significant difference also in the amount of players that we have to sell. So, for example, if Newcastle qualified for the Europa League instead of the Champions League, you guys will remember that if we would be able to spend somewhere between 111 million or 110 million and 133 million, and we would have to sell. Oh, sorry, go on. Did you say something?
No.
Oh, I thought someone said something. And we would have to sell somewhere between 30 million and 50 million pound worth of players. And that's a lot of players. However, if we were to make it to the Champions League, and that's going to segue right us into the Chelsea game in a moment, if we were to make it into the Champions League and we were to spend somewhere near enough the same money, i.e. 111, 112 million, 233 million, we would only have to sell between 9 to 13 million pound worth of players. Literally, we can just sell Sean Longstaff and we can spend that amount of money. And it sounds like from this article, Mitch, I don't know, and also Bobby, you can chime in on this. When the article mentions 3 priority signings plus one or two others depending on player sales, and I think also Champions League football, I think that would put Newcastle if Newcastle were to get into Champions League football, that we're probably even looking to get 5 players. And I kind of was fiddling with the sums, and I think that could cost us somewhere between like 100 and 185 million. And even if we were to spend that with the Champions League football and the revenue it brings in, we only have to make, I say only, have to make around 23.7 million in player sales to do that. Again, that's a Sean Longstaff or a Harvey Barnes, or Nick Pope plus, or like a Sean Longstaff for 15 million plus a Nick Pope type of sell. I mentioned Harvey Barnes because he was also mentioned, I don't know if you saw, Mitch, that Aston Villa
are interested. Yeah, I've seen that.
Aston Villa are interested, and we're
or
interested.
Even a Joe Willock, to be fair, because there's talks of him and Crystal Palace today.
Him and Crystal Palace. But I think that the Aston Villa one, I think I can see a PSR shaky deal happening.
Yeah.
They give us Jacob Ramsey, we give them Harvey Barnes, and somewhere 50 million becomes 100 million. I don't know, something crazy.
I don't think I'd like that one though. I'd quite like Jacob Ramsey, but I wouldn't want to lose Harvey Barnes. Interesting.
I'm 2 minds about it. Bobby, what's your thoughts on Harvey Barnes? Like, from a yeah.
Yeah, as a casual observer, so I mean, I was keeping an eye on him after injury because there's always a worry that he's not going to come back at the same level. Certainly before the injury, he had lots of potential. I don't think he is. I think he's a bit more attacking than Ramsey, I find. I don't see a lot of difference between Ramsey and what's the other player that you just mentioned that is going to be part of the potential swap? Just going back to your
Ramsey and who was it? Barnes? Barnes, Harvey Barnes.
No,
Willock.
Willock. Yeah. I don't see a huge big difference between Willock and Ramsey. Do you? I don't see that as an upgrade or.
I would say if we put Willock's guest against what we've seen of Ramsey's best, it's about the same. But this version of Willock we're seeing at the minute isn't the same player. That's
so you think he's fallen off, huh?
Yeah, since his injuries, he's either lost confidence in his body or he's actually lost a yard of pace and he's not quite adjusted to it yet.
Well, I mean, to answer your question specifically, Philip, I would prefer hold on to Barnes and let Willock. if you wanted my thought as a rival, just looking at the squad and planning for it, I would hold on to Barnes. I think he's got a bit more upside that was probably held back because of the injury. And I would want to see, like, he was exciting for the last 2 months.
Do you think you'll make, and this is when maybe Champions League money makes sense even better for us, because do you think it'll make better sense for us to sell Joe Willock to Crystal Palace, keep Barnes, and bring in Ramsey?
Honestly, if I were to think about Newcastle's squad, just from a transfer business perspective, I wouldn't do a lot with the core that's there right now. I think what you need is depth, right? And I think you've got a good harmony, good connection between these players and the manager right now. You would want to maintain that culture. I'll be building as opposed to selling. Now I know you've got the PSR consideration. And by the way, that's where I fight my battles with Clearlake, is really on. I'm a chartered accountant by trade, so I tend to keep an eye on the numbers.
You're what? Sorry by trade?
I'm a chartered accountant by trade.
Wow. Okay.
All right, so, I mean, that's not that. You make it sound so exciting the way you say "wow," but I mean, it just means I pay a little bit more attention to the financial results, right, of these clubs. And I mean, Chelsea right now is making a mockery of the PSR rules. Why isn't Newcastle doing something similar? Why are you thinking you need to sell parts of your squad? Sell some assets to yourselves. Use the sponsorship income. I'll be looking at doing more creative things around the business as opposed to selling any of these players.
That's a fair point. But I feel the Saudis are trying to be as clean as they possibly can with what they're doing with Newcastle. I don't think they want to get caught up in any kind of dodgy dealings in any kind of way, so they're staying well clear of all of it.
But the amount of dirt that Clearlake is spinning up here, I mean, it'll be easy to get a couple low-hanging things through without much controversy, right? I mean, it's a joke. The value of Chelsea women's team at £200 million, most expensive women's team in the world, right?
Crazy, it's
operating at a loss. It's mad, right? So if you were to sell your training ground or just have some fancy sponsorship go on by one of the state sponsored entities, there'll be nothing. That'll be the road I'll be going.
The sponsorship deals, I feel, will come, but I feel they're playing a bit of 3D chess for me. I think they're waiting for 4D chess even. I think they're waiting for certain things to be done with the Man City case for them to really load up the maximum on some of the sponsorship deals we're looking at, I think, rather than going in at low ball and then you're stuck with that sponsorship for a certain amount of time. They're holding off, and they'll go in higher when they can.
All right. I thought the Man City thing was actually decided.
The outcome's going to come in a couple months' time. I can't remember when it was. Supposed to be in March, but I think they're delaying it now.
Well, I mean, to answer your question, I'll be holding on to Barnes.
Okay. Yeah.
I might get, and even selling him later when he can, show up, because I think he's got some upside. I think he's coming back from that injury nicely. And once he gets back to that old potential, I think you could actually even make more if you were to sell him a year from now.
And to be honest, from my point of view, and this is why it'd be great when we do kind of the scouting review of some of these players, because a number of other players have come up. There's Ibrahim Bangura, who I only heard about yesterday, but a couple of days ago I did a preview on him as well. A little thing on him as well. Lamine Kamara, Mateus Fernandez. These are all young players, like 18 to 21, 19 to 21, a little bit older. Got first year experience. They're all about 10 to 20 million pounds, and I think these are the Paul Mitchell signings. In fact, in the same article here with Mark Douglas, he mentioned that Newcastle are still looking at Joshua Achimpong from Chelsea, because he can play right centre back and right back. I don't know, Bobby, if you've seen much of him, but there's a lot of talk about him. Like he seems to be Real Madrid.
He's a Rolls Royce.
Oh, he is, yeah.
He's a special
very
player.
Yeah, he is. He's a Rolls Royce.
Wow.
I remember the first time I watched him, I was very annoyed that Chelsea had found another excellent looking defender.
Why is he not getting the first team yet? Just yet, Bobby? Do you know?
Look, I think are we going to get into this in the when we look at the lineup, right?
Yeah.
But I think it has a lot to do with Maresca not using fullbacks.
Okay.
And you guys, I think, are a bit more football experts than me, so you might be able to interpret what I think is nonsense that he's doing with all this inverting left, right, and center. The game, to me, he's trying to reinvent the game. He's not actually using fullbacks as fullbacks, and therefore Josh, I don't think they'll trust him at centre back quite yet. So if anything, he'll be getting in that right centre back, but more ideally as a right back, and we're not playing with a right back effectively.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. We are going to get into it in a moment. There's the chats are ringing off, and so people are liking what we're saying as well. Liam knows Europa wouldn't be the worst for us this year. Winnable. Liam, I hear you, man, but it's got to be Champions League.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't emphasize it enough. It's got to be. I'm not saying it's Champions Leagues or bust, but I can't do it. I can't even think like that at the moment. For me,
it feels transformative, doesn't it? It feels like if we get Champions League this season, we're gonna have a big kick over the summer.
On top of the League Cup win and everything, it's like, oh, okay. And even though I think the way players, I'm sure, perceive us and everything else, they win cups, they get into this is the second time in the Champions League since the takeover. I don't know. So yeah, that's my thing on it, man.
Queen of Heart, I mean, as a rival, Philip, if I could just make a comment.
Of course, sir. Yes, please.
Your first 11 is a Champions League 11. Those players are Champions League quality players, and I think for that reason alone, Newcastle should be in the Champions League. Like, you can't be wasting Isaks and your midfield, beating up on who's this Bodo Glimp. You know what I mean? That's a complete waste of your talent. So for that reason alone, Newcastle should be a Champions League team.
Someone, to be fair to you, Bobby, so I was on the show on Footy Judge Mo, and he said the same thing. Like, he thought that our starting 11 was a Champions League starting 11 as well. So you're not the first person to say that. It's nice. It's really good to hear that. I remember what this team used to be. Queen of Heart, all I can say was I had no part in you going offline. Thanks, Queen of Heart. I know it wasn't news. It's just my funny stuff here. Queen of Heart, Jacob Murphy is the new skateboard.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Queen.
Yeah.
He's not appreciated at Newcastle.
You don't think so? We love him. I think he's loved. I think you have to experience him a little bit more to kind of get where we're coming from. So, like, we had the Brighton game the other day, and I did the breakdown of the game, and we controlled the game in terms of our off the ball stuff and everything else, but we had 0 through balls. We had very little dribbles and take-ons into the box. The stuff that, your Mbeumo's do, your, dare I say, Madueke, okay, the end product isn't great, but at least he goes past the guy. And we need someone to do that. Jacob, it's not necessarily, I'm not saying that it's not in his skill set, but it's not something that he naturally leans on to do. I don't know if Mitch would agree, but so I think that's why we're looking for your Elanga types, those guys that like to dribble, that like to get past the guy. So it's just variation. Just add some variation. I mean, remember Minte was our guy, and he was playing against us today in that game, and he scored against us. And remember, Mitch, the kind of goal he scored. He got into the box. He did a little shimmy twice. Past Livramento, past Tonali. That's what we need. That was our guy. That's what we wanted. And so yeah,
I agree. Like it was frustrating Sunday because as well as Murphy's playing, and he has been this season, teams when they defend like Brighton did, he doesn't change what he does to adapt to them defending that way. He just keeps delivering the same balls in, and they're just waiting for it to come in. and Isaks outnumbered in the middle, and
Yes.
he's just ineffective when teams do that.
That's true.
Yeah. Consistent Mag of C, good to see you, sir. Hi, Philip. God bless you, sir. Good to see you, sir. Good to see folks welcoming each other in the chat as well. Liam knows, love Murph, but it's about the 90 minutes. We need more. We need more stats or suggest.
Oh, don't start that again. Hear you say that.
So we're gonna start talking about Nassau. Someone's gonna start talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Arsenal fans are having a heart. From when I started hearing stats in Nassau, I was like, oh my word. Bobby Fairview, if you have no idea what we're talking about, we was on Spurs Kings the other day, and it was after the Arsenal game. We had Arsenal fans giving us all sorts of. They were in the, the stages of grief. They were in the denial part, so they weren't listening. They weren't listening. They weren't listening to
that was last night's show.
Yeah.
That was last night. I got it.
Yeah. They weren't listening to it. They weren't listening to even like I don't think we came off as overly. We weren't even bantering. Like there's some channels that just straight up like just having just taking the mic. I like to think that our panels in terms of the Spurs Kings are a lot more productive.
It's a lot more discussion based. There's a lot of jokes that go in there and a few little digs, but it is a lot more discussion based rather than just the like saying stuff to wind people up, even if you don't believe what you're saying type of thing that you see elsewhere.
Yeah, but the Arsenal fans weren't even having it. Liam knows Bakayoko. Yeah, you're backing Bakayoko. I need to look up on him, but to be fair, I'm not going to be fair to him because I just saw a caption somewhere where he hasn't been consistent. But I'm sure I've got that wrong. I don't know how he's doing this year. Lominos, good to see you back, sir. God bless you. And Mbeumo would be perfect. His expected, and Man United linked to him again. And Mbeumo would be perfect. His expected assists is higher than Salah. Let alone Murphy with Isak in front of him, he would get more assists plus his goal threat, who can cut inside and shoot or pass to Tino. And a lot of people do love Mbeumo, to be honest. I think you mentioned him, Bobby, as well. And I know, Mitch, that you're. I don't know, Mitch. Are you a fan of Mbeumo?
Yeah, he's not my first choice, but I would love Mbeumo for us. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure about the Man United link though, because they don't really play with a winger.
Today in the Telegraph,
they played 2 10s, didn't they? So does Mbeumo fit that?
Mbeumo and Kuna and whoever at the front probably looking for a Delap.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're going for.
The name sounds frightening. If it all clicks, it sounds like a frightening front three. To be honest.
Yeah. Queen of Heart, has Isak got tired as the season progressed? Mitch, what do you reckon?
Yeah, these last few weeks make me feel that way because we have no genuine rotation. So he has to play 80 minutes every single game. I'm hoping these last few games, now that we're 1 game a week, there's no more midweek games, that we see a little bit more from Isak because it's either we're playing in a way that doesn't get him involved or he's not as active as he was to be as involved as he was.
Yes.
And we need to get him more involved in the game. He's the jewel in our crown, so we have to get him involved in the game as much as possible.
I'm just throwing... I haven't figured it out just yet because I feel like Barnes has a better relationship with Tino down the flank than Gordon does, but Gordon has a better relationship with Isak.
Yes.
That's
because Gordon likes to come in them 1-2s. Yes. I think Gordon's a bit of a more probably a more technical passer is what I would say. He'll be able to feed balls through smaller gaps than Barnes will do. Whereas
and the way he presses,
and whereas Barnes will look to play a pass but get it back, whereas Gordon can play a ball through where Isak's onto it and he can get a shot away and stuff like that. So it's a hard thing to gauge. It's a hard thing to
relationships are different. Great question though, Queen of Heart. What's your view, Queen of Heart? Do let me know. Nat, good to see you. It's been a little while. God bless you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Queen of Heart rotation would be good at the summer, so this can be reduced. I agree. I would love a Delap Isak, or well, today was Benjamin Sesko. That would be insane. Yes. Nat, huge game on Sunday. That's a great segue, actually. Huge game on Sunday. I really hope the lads come into the game like how they did with both legs of if they did do that the way against the Arsenal, Bobby, it will be a legendary. Put it this way, it'll have to be a legendary performance from this Chelsea team to overcome that. If the Newcastle that played against Arsenal turn up, I hope that will be the case. And the final from the minute against Liverpool, absolutely. From the minute the whistle goes, intense and pressing football. And you know what, Nat? Do you know what the common theme between all those games are? It's the fans. The fans were absolutely insane. Asking Mbappe as well. Like all of them, Newcastle's atmosphere, Champions League atmosphere, they say. Morgan Rogers and Barnes.
Well, if that was the switch,
then we're cooking. Then we are cooking. Bobby, what's your thoughts on Morgan Rogers?
Well, I think he's being overplayed right now, so we're not seeing the best of him. I do not understand Emery's rotation with the depth that he's got. Rogers plays an unbelievable amount of minutes, so you can see that he's actually, and he's just not giving the output that he used to. But for me, he's an excellent player. The question is, what's his best position? Again, there's another thing that I've been seeing Emery doing, playing him out on the wings, which I don't know if that makes sense. To me, he ought to be through the middle, right? But he's a great player.
Yeah. So I see him as like a left 8 for us, or a left wing forward, like a really good left wing forward for us.
100% on the left 8. I reckon he raises our ceiling at the left 8, but then also covers either of the wide positions up front as well.
Yeah.
So you basically take the Joe Linton.
Naturally.
Basically cover. Right. Okay, got it. Yeah.
As much as we all love Joe Linton, I think that is something that the club not actively searching for, but they'll take a hit on if they can improve the technicality in that area of the pitch.
Yeah. But Natalie,
before you move on, just to find what's the story with Wilson as rotation for Isak?
Yeah, he looks.
He's not rotating. Did you see the article today?
He came on at 74.
Yeah, he came on last minute. There was today. I can't remember if it was a Telegraph, but they were saying that he had like an option to extend his contract if he made certain amount of appearances in a certain particular period of time, but that now has passed and his contract can't be extended.
Oh, okay.
So
the club must have known that.
Yes, and Eddie Howe must have known that as well, and so that kind of tells you its own story. I thought that his contract would be renewed so that we would bring in another striker and we would send Ursula, one of our young strikers, away on loan. But it looks like Wilson isn't even he's not even good enough to sit on the bench at the moment, is how House sees him. So yeah, it looks like he's going. Natalie, but Tino and Harvey link up well, but Hall and Gordon link up better. Yes. Hall links up with everybody very well. Links up better with Isak and Bobby. Thank you again for Mr. Hall and for Tino.
They all lost Mente. That's the only comfort I have.
Yes, true. That's true. That is true. And Elliot Anderson as well.
Actually, to everybody. It's happening to everybody right now.
We're giving sweets away. We're just like
ridiculous.
It's crazy, honestly. Links are better with Isak and gives him more scoring opportunities. I agree. Has anyone noticed that Isak is sometimes too far up the pitch? Sometimes I think that's meant to create space in behind for people to run into, which we don't always do. Then he gets annoyed and he drops in deep. But then when he does that, there isn't always the runners. This is why he misses Gordon. This is why he misses Gordon so much.
I find that happens more now that we've got Pope back, though. I feel we play higher with Dubravka than we do with Pope, which squeezes the pitch, which leaves Isaks less isolated. And that's why I'm quite keen on upgrading at goalkeeper, because if we can get back to how we was playing with Dubravka in goal, and also have a better goalkeeper at shot stopping and stuff than Dubravka is, where I think we'll be a much harder team to play against consistently.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what's the problem with Dubravka? Why aren't you starting him?
Sorry, go on, Mitch.
He's better on the ball than Pope, but then every other aspect of goalkeeping, Pope's probably better.
Got it.
And I think Pope is a better sweeper keeper to Dubravka. He doesn't really come out. Like, Dubravka's got a thing about not really coming out his penalty box as much. That's my kind of thing. Murphy doesn't always have a good games, but he escapes with goals or assists. He's lovable, but I think we are worried he's having a Mickey type purple patch. Oof. And
this is what I'm talking about. Okay. This is not the kind of respect that we should have for him. I'm sorry, not with the productivity that he's had, man.
Yeah, no, I always defend Murphy when people call it a Miggy purple patch, because it is a good 18 months to nearly 2 seasons now. He's been putting similar-ish type of numbers. And Miggy's purple patch was literally 3-4 months of the season, and then it was gone again.
It was a hell of a purple patch, though.
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable,
bangers.
Yeah. If you showed anybody in 10 years' time a compilation of his goals from that period of time, you'd think he's one of the best players in the world.
but here's the thing: he's not doing it when you're 4-0 up. He's actually scoring and providing decisive assists.
Yeah,
in really tight situations, isn't he? He's winning points for the team.
He has also given the ball away very easy a few times and given goals away. So
he has his limitations. He does have his limitations.
Does he? Okay, interesting.
He does. Yeah, I know where Natalie's going with it, to be honest. I think that's why me and Mitch are quite big fans of Kulu. And for me, I'll take Kulusevski over Mbeumo. And I probably need to look more deeply into this. I prefer the way he holds up the ball and he dribbles with it, but also he links up better. He can do both things in terms of linking up with Isaks better. I think he can improve his end product, but I feel like if he goes to Newcastle, that would be better than it would be at Tottenham as well. I think we would use Kulu better than what Tottenham do. I think Tottenham ask a little bit way too much of him, especially out on the right.
Yep.
Where we would use him as a natural right wing forward. So yeah.
I also think Kulusevski comes in and he's more adaptable than Mbeumo, so you could still play.
Yes.
You could play like either Gordon or Barnes one side. Kulu could play one of the 8 roles, and you could still put Murphy out wide if we needed to rotate. Whereas Mbeumo, he's going to play wide right or wide right. That's it. He doesn't really play anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And he can play in an attacking mid as well for us as well, like through the centre. So exactly. Oh, sorry. Liam Knowles said NASA boys. Yes, that's good. That should be a meme. For those who know, they know. Choppy, God bless. Looks like. Sorry, go on, Mitch.
No, I was just laughing. That's fine.
Good to see you. So good to see you. I think your first time on the channel, Choppy. Good to have you on. What's the channel called? Somebody answered, I think. Toon Tactics TV, Choppy. And welcome to you, sir. Or madame. Or I don't know. Choppy, welcome to you. Welcome to you. I'm messing up the introduction. But do return. Like I do better greetings than that. Adrian Pickett, good to see you, sir. I think Saka needs a change of scene. Bring him to the mate. Bring him. He knows. I want to see Natalie. I want to see Osolo more. He's raw, chaotic, but he's got energy. Sounds like Darwin Nunes. And he's pretty fearless. There is a player in there, especially instead of Wilson coming off the bench. I would love to see him come on more. I don't know, Mitch, what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I would have done earlier on in the season, but at this point now, I feel like he is too erratic for what we need to do in these last few games.
Yeah.
And Eddie Howe knows that he needs to bring on players that he knows exactly what he's getting in the situation. Like, unless a game's dead, completely dead, I don't see him bringing Asula on if we need a goal or something to win it. I don't see him bringing on Asula because he's just like, as much as I love him and I think he's going to be fantastic, I think he's just as likely to do something crazy that could lose us the game as it is to win it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you'll either hit it top bins and he'll be a winner, something else will happen. And
or someone will play it to him like in our half with his back to goal, and he'll try a sideways pass and it goes to them and they break and score or something like that. Yeah, I see why Howe's not playing him, and I feel like next season he'll be one that is brought into the trusted rotation group, but not for the rest of the season.
Together with Lewis Miley as well.
Yes.
Natalie, I didn't say that he is. I think that speaking about Murphy, I'm saying it's a worry. One thing I'll never take away from Murphy is he's a workhorse and puts everything on the pitch. And I couldn't agree with you more, Natalie. I definitely wouldn't get rid. And I was surprised to see him on the article. This on the Mark Douglas article that they mentioned the 5 names that Newcastle are considering. Murphy, Barnes, Wilson, Kieran Trippier. I know Eddie Howe's fighting to keep him, to be honest, and I can see why sometimes as well. I forgot who the other one is. I was very surprised to see that Murphy's one of the guys. I think even if we bring in the right wing forward, we still need to keep the rotation there, in my opinion. But I wonder if it's in consideration of if we don't get Champions League football, if we're not able to sell certain players that we need to sell for a certain price, and maybe there's more people in for Murphy than there are for Longstaff, for instance, and for more money. And so Newcastle have to consider that as well. We didn't want to sell Anderson. We didn't want to sell Minte, but to get it over the line instead of PSR, that's what had to happen. Queen of Heart, Osola has a raw talent which is unmatched, and I would love to see him played more. I agree. Petrus Galibas, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Don't underestimate some talents from the academy. At least a couple of them will get them. I don't know if you saw this, Petrus, and Mitch and Bobby. Our under 18s beat Man City's under 18s.
Yeah, I saw that. There's a young midfielder in that team. I can't remember his name.
Is it Munda or is it Neve? Are you feel like Sean Neve or Munda or Anthony?
I think it must be Munda because it's not Sean.
Oh, the other kid. I know what kid you're talking about. He's like 15, 16.
Yeah. I can't find his name at the minute.
Alabi.
That's the one. He looked there was a compilation of him that I saw on X, and he looks like he could be a player. Yeah.
And we know our academy's been dead for years, because it literally got gutted. So it's just good. Bobby, from your Chelsea's perspective, thinking you're happy about that, because your academy is incredibly good. We haven't had an academy, so.
All right. Well, I was just saying that y'all might be able to put a price on that. Maybe you can sell it to yourselves for £100 million.
And then you'll see literally the footballing world come against us for it as well. And so many times when I go on different channels, and their biggest fear is, so you don't want PSR because you just want Newcastle to buy out the whole league. And I'm like, but you guys are already doing that though. Especially when I'm talking to top 4, top 6 fans of top 6 clubs, your Man Uniteds and Liverpools. They fear Newcastle will do what they have already done, which is, it's a ongoing argument. And we nearly get to the end of the chats here. Adrian Pickett, D-man from the 90s mag, said he saw Sola in the warm-up sessions and his finishing was. I don't know, Mitch, Bobby, from when you guys are on, when you go to games live, I don't take too much from the shooting practices, so long as they do it, because people are trying different things sometimes. Yeah. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are. Do you guys, when you guys see certain stuff in the warm-up sessions, are you like, it's going to be a rough game tonight if we're going to be doing this?
Not
you're
really.
Talking about just pre-match?
Yeah, pre-match. I said pre-match, yeah.
I got it,
Yeah, I know a few people who have played at a decent level, and they've always said to me, when they're doing shooting drills, apart from the last 5, ignore everything else. because they're just they're seeing how far wide they can put it before bending it back in. They're trying to take the lever off things to get their eye in. And then their last 4 or 5 shots, they knuckle down and they find the corners, and they're the ones you pay attention to. Everything else is just them trying a few things.
That is, I agree, but that's super interesting. That is super interesting. I'll be looking at warm-up sessions totally different now. Natalie, what are people's thoughts of Bruno G performance as of late?
Is Natalie new? Because I've not seen her in the chat before.
No, she's been here for a while. She's been here for a while.
These are good comments, man.
Yeah. For me,
you, Natalie.
I mean, what's from you guys' perspective, Mitch? I don't know, Bobby, how much you've seen of Bruno the last couple of games. I think he's been fine to me.
Yeah, I think teams are just sitting deeper against us now, so he's finding it harder to influence games as he was. And even with Joe Linton, they can focus on him a little bit more, because I feel teams don't feel there's much coming from Willock. So he'll have a little bit of extra attention as well. But I wouldn't say that I've noticed him being off it or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would say the last 2 games, he wasn't having the kind of impact. But to your point, he's probably missing Joe Linton, because Joe Linton occupies quite a few of those defensive midfielders.
Yeah. That's his enforcer, and you can, sometimes you feel like your big brother's there, like you can just start walking on the road, on the streets, like you can do what you want. All right, so we've got to the end of the chats. Let's get on with the main part of the show, and we're going to be doing the review preview for the Newcastle Chelsea game at St James's Park. Which is obviously this Sunday. I love the fact that it's at 12 o'clock because I get to see it.
But is that a good thing for the Newcastle fans? Because they might not be in good voice at that time in the morning, will they?
That's what you're hoping for, isn't it?
late night out drinking. I've been out in Newcastle before.
They just won't stop. They'll just carry on all the way through.
All right.
I'll go to bed at 1:45 in the afternoon, and that'll be fun.
Exactly. Bobby, as always, as my tradition is, I love to always start off with the opposition first, and to try and understand the opposition as best as I can. So a lot of the stuff I can cut out because I've got you here. But what I'll do is I'll set the scene a little bit, and then you give us your take on all things Chelsea. I can see here. I don't know if you guys can you make sure you guys can see my screen. Yeah, you can.
We can, yeah.
Of the last, is it 10 games here? I know 2 of them are from the Europa Conference League. You might not want to. I don't know if you want to include those, but regardless,
I think it's Premier League only, actually, based on the filter you've got on the top there.
It's got a Drugadin.
It's Premier League. You've got Premier League to the left. So if you go to the left, no. Zoom back out. Yeah, you see, you've got Premier League selected just down the left underneath Chelsea.
Where have I made
Premier League?
This one.
The Premier League 24, 25. No, come down a little bit. Just about. You just pressed something and it disappeared. But anyway, there you go. Premier League.
I'll go backwards.
Yeah, there we go. So under the Chelsea logo, you'll see you have Premier League selected.
Yeah, I think that's just for the table that we're seeing at just underneath that.
This is your recent form.
So he was asking if the Conference League was included for recent form. I don't think it is.
No, in the recent form bit here.
Oh, on the top there, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So over your last,
so that would be there.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, over your last, looks like 10 games here. I mean, 2 of them are from, or 4 of them actually are from Conference League. But regardless, you've only lost 1 game. You've drawn 2, one of them being 0-0 against Brentford, away to Brentford, which is no bad thing. The bad thing is the 2-2 against Ipswich Town. But otherwise, great wins: Tottenham, Fulham, Everton, and obviously against Liverpool. How are you feeling, Bobby? From a Chelsea fan's perspective, going into this game, do you feel like Chelsea are in a good space? in form, mentally, physically, emotionally, maybe? Like, what's your kind of overriding feeling like going into this game, playing Newcastle away?
Yeah, so I think, and that's why I was distracted by the last 5 games there, because if you look at our Premier League form, you'll see that we went from the 2 draws to 3 wins, right? So I think Chelsea sure is peaking at the right time in terms of the run-in. So you're seeing something similar to what we were seeing last year, where other teams are on the beach, and Chelsea's now finally picking up a few points after, having some slow form recently.
Right.
I think what's critical to this is Lavia and the fitness of Lavia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's recently come back. Now, I'm not particularly technical, guys, so I'll be looking at this from the point of view of a fairly casual fan. But if you look at what's been happening during that poor run of form that we had between December to mid-April, let's say, or early April, we were 12th in a 3-month form table. Okay, so just before we got into this 10-game stretch, and Lavia would have been fit for a majority of those games. Now, when Lavia is not fit, Maresca is compensating for it by inverting the fullbacks. Now, I'm not sure if it is to compensate for Lavia not being there, or just his philosophy that he wants to change the game. And he feels, this method he has of using touchline wingers, not having fullbacks, not using fullbacks in a traditional way. He's been wedded to this idea, and you would find that during that poor run of form, he was then trying to slow the game down, control the possession, control the games, and the fans were revolting against that brand of football. So at Chelsea, we don't do this possession stuff historically. Unfortunately, we have owners and who have hired a manager who want to implement this now, right? So you had a lot of tension building up between the fans and Maresca and the team, lots of booing on that run. But then coming into these 10 games, you see Lavia coming back into the team and results improving. And that's because there's less space behind Enzo Fernandez in midfield when Lavia is there.
Yes.
Right? Now, the problem is Caicedo is undroppable. And so this is where, when we get into the lineups, etc., we can dive into, how we think he'll fit these 3 midfielders in, and then what I think are the problems that it solves, and then the new problems that it creates. But I think, within the last 5 games, those 3 wins that you're seeing there, let's give Lavia credit for that. Let's give Enzo Maresca credit for going back to what I call Pochettino ball, or Poch ball, transition-based football, less of this control stuff. So again, you would see that in those Premier League games, it was more of a let the players go out there and express themselves. We got the protection of Lavia. Take more risks with your passes, less of that possession stuff. So I think we're peaking at the right time. Just to answer your question specifically, we're coming in to this match, I think, with the level of fitness and the kind of form that we would need or could ask for out of this team and manager at this stage of the season.
It's really, really interesting. I wanted to ask, just before Mitch chimes in, Bobby, do you think your results would have been different, for instance, in the Everton game, Liverpool game, if they weren't on the beach, if Liverpool were still trying to secure the Premier League, if Everton was still trying to secure their survival? Do you think those results could have been different? Or do you think that this, as Chelsea, are improving in their form, Lavia's come back in, the things that you've mentioned, you would have got similar results?
Yeah, I hear your question. I'm just checking very quickly. So Lavia did play against Everton as well, right?
Mm.
So I think that's the difference there. No, look, let me make an observation that when Lavia is in the team, Caicedo is inverting from right back,
Yes.
and what you would find is that Ndai, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he was not hugging the touchline in that game. He was almost coming in from left into a 10 position, almost a central 10 position, which meant that there was no pressure on Caicedo to defend those wide spaces. So I think it's a combination of Lavia being back and our opponents not keeping the left winger wide to attack Caicedo from those wide areas. So I think so to restate that, Lavia being back is key.
Mm-hmm.
But opponents not playing with a wide left winger was also playing into our hands, is the way I would describe it.
I think Liverpool did the same-ish type of thing, isn't it? They kind of left Jones out by himself with Palmer on the right.
Well, but that was only right. I mean, Liverpool, they were just asleep, really. I mean, they didn't really have the energy, did they? So I almost want to discard that game. And if you look at the two before that, so it would have been Fulham. Again, who would Fulham have had up there on the left? Again, they were playing fairly narrow up front.
Yeah, would have been Anthony Robinson on the left.
Would have been. They probably Iwobi plays quite high, and then Robinson overlaps him, doesn't he? Normally.
Yeah. I
can't remember the Fulham lineup. Did we actually have? You see, we did not have Lavia in that game.
So you had. Can you guys see my screen? Here we go. So Chelsea 2-1 lineups. So on that left is Iwobi, Robinson, Lukic, if you want to count him, Madueke, Fernandez, James.
You see, this is the lineup that I potentially would go with. I would play Lavia instead of Enzo against Newcastle, because you've got both Gordon and Barnes fit, right?
Yeah.
But you see, for this one, you would have had Robinson overlapping, so he definitely would have needed a right back in this game. But I don't even think Lavia. I can't remember if Lavia was fit for this game either. But because he's always in and out. But was he? Was he on the bench? No.
Yeah, he was on the bench.
Actually, he was. Yeah, he was probably just coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even used as a sub. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, to me, that right back kind of pocket where Reece James is not being used. He's club captain. He's still, as we saw during the England game, still one of the best right backs in England, not the best right back in England, from my perspective. So there's a bit of politics going on there as well. I think the ownership is putting Reece James up for sale this summer.
Wow.
This is how they go about it, right? So they tend to frustrate the player. So you see now he's basically the captain of the B team playing in the Conference League.
Right.
Reece James is not a Conference League player.
No. No. Yeah.
No chance. Yeah.
Okay. That is.
So is he
fit?
Is he actually fit at the minute, Reece James?
He is absolutely fit. He played 90 minutes for England the other day, and he's not been injured since.
Oh,
Reece James is fit. Right?
Scored a free kick, didn't he?
He did score a free kick to put England in the league, right? So look, there are a couple of dynamics here, right? Reece James is fit. Gusto, I think, is fit as well. But it is likely that we're not coming into this game with a right back. So that's something to consider.
It's mad. See this setup we're looking at on the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
I like the look of the matchups for us in that. The previous one from the Fulham game, I don't like as much. From looking at it from a Newcastle point of view, because the way we saw the other graphic where you had Caicedo inverting, and potentially leaving us 3-on-3 with our front three against Kukureya, Colwell, and Chalobah. Yeah, this graphic. I reckon this suits us a lot more than having an actual right back like Reece James and then having Lavia Caicedo in the middle. I think this version suits us a lot better.
And I actually think this is potentially what the game will turn on. And just to emphasize this point, right? And Philip, you made the comment. I had left a comment on one of your shows where you had proposed using both Barnes and Gordon, using Barnes in the Joe Linton role, if you like.
Yeah.
I had made the comment there that you would then be exploiting that space behind Caicedo because he's going to be naturally always coming back, reverting to his original defensive midfield central position, right? I watched the last time Maresca used this formation against a team that had wide wingers was against Tottenham, and I saw Son cooking Caicedo on that wing, right? Because he's just not accustomed instinctively defending wide areas. So I think Gordon would have a field day over there with him.
Yeah, well, the season we qualified for the Champions League, Brighton, the game that we basically secured it, did exactly that. They took Caicedo out of the middle, played him at right back, and he got terrorized.
He cannot defend wide areas.
I think it would be the same. Yeah, I think we'd see the same thing if they have him inverting and then trying to make up ground on a Gordon, or even if it's Willock overlapping or Tino overlapping. I think you could get caught in all kinds of trouble playing that kind of way.
So no, I can bet you that Goose. Sorry, go ahead, Philip.
No. Go on.
I was just checking very quickly, and you can see that Reece James played 70 minutes today, and Gusto played 90 minutes today. So both our right wingers were started today in a Conference League game that was on a tie that was already finished. Okay, before it started. Reece cannot play. He cannot start the next match or at least they're not going to risk it, right? And as I said, they're trying to sell. I think they're going to sell him this summer because he's he's pure profit right there for PSR.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't have any more women's teams to sell. I think we have a training ground that we can still sell, but there's nothing else that we can sell to generate profits. Okay. So Reece James is the next best thing, and he played 70 minutes today. Gusto played 90 minutes today, so there's no chance they're starting on Friday. On Sunday. So I think you can count on Caicedo right back.
So are politics getting in the way of Chelsea actually progressing as a team?
What cheeky question is this? You trying to get me started?
sorry. All right, so because. Go on.
So politics in the team. Look, I think everybody knew what Enzo Fernandez did, right? With the Argentine team against those French players, right?
Yeah.
And then a number of the black French players, within his squad had a problem with it. Stopped following him on social media, etc. But then magically, a little week later, all of them were saying, he's apologized, he's welcome back, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, he's got on a captain armband, right? So clearly, it was sending a shot across the bow of supporters like myself that, hey, listen, he's here to stay. You can't do anything about it. I mean, he's captain. Yeah. So I actually personally think that this issue started last year with Poch, and Poch basically, read them the riot act saying, I cannot play Enzo and Caicedo in the midfield. Enzo, if you look at that Liverpool game that we dominated last weekend, Enzo Fernandez got dribble past 3 times, the most dribble pass player in that game. He's the 5th most dribble pass player in the league. Okay, so to have one of your central midfielders being the 5th most dribble pass player in the league, that's a
next
problem.
to Bruno G. He's next to Bruno G.
Is he? Okay, so Bruno is the same thing, is he?
No. Bruno's incredible. I'm saying he's one of those press resistant players.
there we
resistant
go.
players in the
Okay.
league.
He's gonna have him for lunch, right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is the ownership put their, they put a stake in the sand saying, hey, this guy's here to stay. We paid £100 million for him, and he is starting. So we'll fire Poch, bring in a manager who's committed to playing Enzo Fernandez. Now, what does that mean? Enzo and Caicedo in a midfield without a fit Lavia, lots of space, right? So you would see that our centre backs are always getting run at, right? And that's why Chalobah looks so poor when he comes back from Crystal Palace, because our defense is constantly exposed. So it starts with, you need to bring in some support for Caicedo. Best thing to do that are the fullbacks, and that's why Maresca has been persisting with this. He claims to not believe in fullbacks overlapping, and then that's what's really, to me, it all starts with Enzo Fernandez.
And I'm bringing Mitch into this. Here's what I think, and yourself, Bobby, and you'll notice, I think the intention of why I think Maresca's so partly fixated. I don't agree with it. I do think he needs overlapping fullbacks. It will help him a lot more. I think, though, why he does this is as you know, Caicedo inverts. So even though on paper he's a fullback, he's a right back, but we know that he inverts when Chelsea are in possession. So he wants to be able to create this screen over his back three. Excuse me. The idea being that you have balance, i.e., you attack with 5 players. You can see Madueke, Jackson, Fernandez, Palmer. This is Neto, but it's maybe Neto. Neto here. But then also, if the ball breaks or if you have to defend, essentially, you're about the ball. In a transition, you've got 5 players defending, i.e. Lavia, Caicedo, Corwell, Correa, and Chalobah. Now, just as a side note, and I'll see what Bobby thinks of this. I don't know, apart from Caicedo, possibly Lavia, depending on his fitness, if these guys are the best guys to defend transitions. But we'll leave that in a moment. So I think he's trying to get this balance. The thing why he likes to invert the fullback, i.e. Caicedo in this instance, and where I think where it's been kind of the narrative has been that the likes of Reece James and Gusto have not been as good at doing, is inverting into this midfield here and creating this box shape. So when you create this box shape or this box midfield, the idea being you consistently outnumber the opponent. So, i.e., Bruno, does he go for if Lavia has the ball, does he continue to mark Fernandez, or does he go for Lavia and then leave Fernandez open? Likewise for Barnes, does he press Caicedo and block off that channel? But if he does that, he leaves Palmer open. If he leaves Palmer open, does Tonali go out? If Tonali goes out, then he leaves Jackson open. So the idea is that there's always going to be like an extra man in the midfield. And so, but the thing is, Newcastle have been playing teams with the box midfield consistently. And I don't know, Mitch, if you noticed this, but I felt like the Brighton game gave us really good practice for the Chelsea game, because Brighton love to have a box midfield like this. And the simple solution, I'm not going to say it's an easy solution, the simple solution to this typically is the fullback just pressing up. So the fullback, so Shaw in this case will press up against Fernandez, Tonali will go up against Palmer. I don't mind that matchup. Barnes against Mr. Caicedo, Bruno against Lavia, and Burn against Jackson, and then we're all even. Right? And then once the ball breaks, or if Shaw gets the ball, which you really don't want because he's our best player on the ball, then you get these type of situations where now Murphy's can go out wide. Gordon is out wide. Now you've got these terrific spaces right in the middle. And you've got Isaks here as well. And then you start creating these 1v1 situations. Mitch, what's your kind of take on this? Where do you think our strengths are? Where do you think our weaknesses are? Should Chelsea set up like this?
Our biggest weakness in what we're looking at the screen at the minute is right there where you've got the cursor.
Okay.
But Dan Burn is a fantastic defender, but he has always struggled with Nicholas Jackson. And the same with Fabian Schär. The way Jackson moves and he drops off and spins in behind, they absolutely hate it. If Sven Botman's ready, for me, he has to play. Because I feel he's the only one that can deal with him one-on-one. So if we're going to go man for man like this, the man that's matching up to Nicholas Jackson has to be Sven Botman for me. Because I just don't see the others having the same quickness of turn when Jackson goes and them still being able to be with him when he's going the other way.
Okay.
That's a good show. Yeah.
I just think Botman's a little bit rusty, in my opinion.
That's literally only if he's ready. If he's ready, we've got to do it. If not, and if he's not 100% ready, I could potentially see him going 3 at the back.
3 at the back?
Yeah, and then gambling with one of the fullbacks in this situation here, where one of the, which will then turn into wing backs, will play a little bit higher up and potentially invert slightly to pick up one of the midfielders in the box.
So
you'd sort of push Tonali on. Burn could potentially come in on Palmer and Botman comes in there. And it would look a little bit more like that, I feel, if he goes with the 3.
So Tonali up against Caicedo, Bruno up against Lavia, Shaw against Fernandez, Botman against Jackson, and obviously the 1v1
Sorry, who did you sacrifice? Who did you sacrifice to bring in a third?
Barnes.
Harvey Barnes has come off, so we've
you
lost
took
Harvey
up Barnes. Got it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see that now. Yeah.
What would you, from your perspective, Bobby? What would you be more happy about? Would you be more happy Newcastle having the 3 at the back, where Botman comes in and Burn pushes up like this, and Harvey Barnes comes off, or would you be more happy about keeping it as it was before, where it's essentially Barnes, where it's our typical 4-3-3? Botman is off, Burn is off here, but it's Barnes that comes back in.
Definitely happier with the two centre backs, not 3. Because as soon as you pack 3 in there, right? Because to me, the wild card here, and if you got a kill chance creation on this game, you got to get somebody on Enzo Fernandez. So a lot of our chances are created through Enzo, and that's what he's basically that luxury player that we've been carrying in the team.
Right.
And I don't know if you necessarily want Schär on there. I would put Tonali on him, because once that happens, he's shut down. Now the thing is that Cole Palmer has picked up some form there, so you want somebody to pick him up as well. So I think you do want the 3 centre backs actually to just make sure you're picking up those, because between Fernandez, Jackson, and Palmer, that Palmer's been in recently. Sorry, in the last game, let me say he's back. I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to see 3 centre backs. That'll definitely nullify us, I think.
Okay.
Now, what I don't like about it is Gordon against Chalobah. Okay. That's the problem. I think
the only thing that changes from this image is Sorry, go on.
No, I've finished. You go ahead.
I would say the only thing I feel changes from these image, I don't feel like Bruno and Tonali go as man for man as we're seeing. I think one of them sort of sits in the middle of that square you've got at the minute. He's sort of in that position there.
So maybe Isaks drops a little bit.
Yeah, we sort of I think most of the front 3 drop a little bit just to cover, just in case the ball goes to Lavia or Caicedo, whichever ones we choose to leave free, or rather than going full on man for man. because I don't feel either of them to bring a danger with a deep pass. If you know what I mean.
Definitely not Lavia. Definitely not Lavia. Caicedo could, but not Lavia.
Say that again. Won't bring a danger to what?
I don't think
No.
Lavia or Caicedo bring a big enough threat from a deep pass for us to go man for man if they're that deep into their. If they're that close to the halfway line, I don't feel we go man for man there, because I don't think any of them can pick a pinpoint pass over the top 20.
Okay,
I think that's a fair comment as it relates to Lavia for sure. Caicedo could pull something out of the bag, so you might want to monitor him a little bit more closely. You might want to keep Cucurella at home. He's been popping out in the box lately, putting in a few goals. That's contributed to our good form recently.
Yeah.
So you probably do want to keep him pinned back. But I agree, you probably don't need to have man for man on Lavia.
Wow. He's your metronome, no? Like, he's the one that keeps it going. I feel like Caicedo and Palmer are so happy when they're like pigs in mud when he's around.
Defensively, though, right? But defensively, they just feel they got the cover.
Right.
To do a bit more, right? But in possession. So if you were playing, if I had my way, Enzo Fernandez didn't play, and we had Reece James at a traditional right back, you would find that our creativity as a team, though, would markedly drop. So the games where Enzo Fernandez does not play, we're a lot more defensively solid, obviously, but our creativity drops off big time. Right, because that creativity just doesn't come from Lavia.
There's the problem.
Yeah.
There lies the problem. Then it's Palmer, and Palmer doesn't like this, does he?
Palmer's not been as effective. Yeah, he's not been as effective when he drifts over to that half space over there on the left. Last game against Liverpool, he was predominantly on the right. I think if you look at his, I've not looked at the averages in terms of the heat map.
Yeah, he was up against Curtis Jones.
Yeah, sorry, but meaning the Chelsea right. I'm sorry, you probably get a mix of
Chelsea
what
right.
I'm
Okay,
saying.
yeah.
So, right, so on the Chelsea right, that's where Palmer was coming in from against Liverpool. During that period when he was not scoring is when Maresca had him playing more on the Chelsea left.
Okay.
Right, so you can expect Palmer to be hanging out and going in towards the penalty spot from there, making those. He'd be trying to create in that right half space area there. You'll have Enzo, you have Lavia. So I think the setup right now is pretty good, where Lavia is kind of like not being man marked, but you're going to need Bruno to potentially pick up Enzo Fernandez.
Enzo Fernandez. But we took Enzo Fernandez off, no?
Oh, you're doing my format.
Yeah. This is
okay. Got it. Yeah. I mean,
so I've got the forward back with Reece James on the right back, Palm on the right here. So as you guys are talking, I'm just flicking around. I'm just trying to.
Sure. Look. For me, I think this solves the problem in that right back position, right? Because the way you had it before, you would have had Gordon running on to Chalobah constantly.
Yes.
And that, I think, is a major problem. right. So, as much as I think Chalobah is our best centre back, that putting Reece James there solves that problem. But Maresca is not going to do this. So you might as well revert to Caicedo coming in from there, put Enzo Fernandez back on. And that's where I think, to your point, having Lavia not being man marked, man for man, is better. Bruno picking up Enzo Fernandez. So bring Enzo Fernandez out there, correct. I think this is where, yeah.
So Fernandez is back out on Chelsea's left, right? And Palmer on Chelsea's right.
Tonali on Palmer and Bruno against Enzo Fernandez. I think that's where the game is going to be. Could be won by Chelsea. If they win those two battles there, That's where Chelsea would win the game in my mind. We're going to lose it, though, with Gordon being right there behind Caicedo.
I'm in two minds about if for Newcastle to play three in the back. We haven't done it. I don't think apart from the Arsenal game, we haven't done it all season.
Yeah, that was the last time we did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think we'll do is it'll be Willock comes in for Botman.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he chooses to start Botman over one of the other two. I'm not sure, but Willock will come in, and I feel that Tonali will sit sort of just in front of Jackson.
Yeah.
Burn will mark Jackson, and I think Willock then comes round where the Palmer area is, and Gordon will play close to Caicedo, but not on him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we'll do. So when the ball turns over, Gordon goes instantly, and we'll look for that pass over and over again. I think that's what the game plan will be.
It's because through all of his, say, no matter some of his limitations, Willock can carry the ball.
Yes,
that's
and he's got the energy and the sort of dynamism to keep with Palmer defensively as well.
Yeah, it allows Gordon. If Willock drives the ball here, Gordon will either go centrally or keep wide and force. Chalobah has to follow him. He's got no choice, and this gives great space for Isak. And then you have Murphy on the side here. Correa has no choice again but to fall back. Tonali has a little bit more athleticism than Bruno in this case, and maybe it's Bruno who hangs back a little bit, and then Caicedo has to fall back. And this is where, if you're not careful, being Chelsea,
that's where the game gets lost by Chelsea.
It's where the game gets lost.
Yeah, exactly. I think that goes both ways. Whoever wins the transitions wins the game.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about just before the transition happens. So let me just bring it back. Where was it? Caicedo was here, Chalobah was here, Colwill was here, Correa was here, so Lavia's here, Caicedo was here. You got this 4-4-2. I think so. What I'm thinking about is, Mitch, Bobby, what your thoughts are on this? Because then, in this scenario, incredibly, for me, the game is almost won and lost. Well, two places, obviously Bruno and Fernandes, but I think it's Willock and Palmer.
Yeah.
This is where I miss Joe Linton. But
I quite like that matchup, Willock on Palmer defensively.
Okay, go on, Mitch. What's your
thoughts?
I quite
like it because I feel the way Palmer moves, I feel like Willock can match up to him quite well.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel he would get the better of Joe Linton a little bit more, because sometimes where Joe Linton, he backs himself and his strength and his power to catch up. Palmer's very clever in then shifting the ball as you're just getting close to him, and then he's instantly made himself another 10 yards. Whereas I feel
he's not that
he's not that quick, but he's quick in full. Yeah. So where Joe Linton's a few yards off and he's trying to make up the space, Palmer will do something which then creates even more space. Whereas I think Willock will go quite tight to Palmer and can keep with his every little jinky movement more than Joe Linton would be able to.
That Arsenal DNA.
Yeah.
I think that's a comment. Yeah, I would agree.
So you guys both kind of see the Palmer Willock situation and the Enzo Fernandez,
yeah.
Bruno Gomes, and Shaw will be key here as well. How is Nicholas Jackson doing, Bobby and Fairview? What's your thoughts on Nicholas Jackson?
Look, he was quite clinical, but that was against a Conference League team, okay? So, I mean, that competition is so dead. There's no point actually looking at it, right? Getting the insight. But, I mean, just in terms of his confidence in finishing, you saw a difference. I think he picked up a league goal as well. Was it against Fulham? Or was it against Liverpool?
It was Fulham, wasn't it?
It was Fulham. It was a lovely finish. No, it was against Everton, wasn't it?
Oh, Everton.
He got the one against Everton.
Yeah.
He's had a couple recently, right? So I think his confidence is coming back. But we still lack that box presence. I agree with you, Mitch. I think he Burn is probably a little too clumsy and immobile, and Jackson might take advantage of that. Because, you're not going to be expecting Jackson to be heading the ball, so it's not like we're going to be relying on him to try to get the better of Burn in the air or anything like that. But he's going to be nimble around Burn for sure, and Enzo Fernandez would find him. Palmer would find him around Dan Burn.
That's why I would say Tonali does exactly what Philip's doing with him there. He stays. That's why we gamble with leaving one of Lavia or Caicedo deep free, so that Tonali can drift around that area just in case Jackson does get the better of him.
Which is what happened in the League Cup game, and I appreciate Chelsea changed like most of their squad for that game. So did we. We made 5 changes as well. But what was key in that was Tonali in the 6. If you guys remember, it's a long time ago now. It was when
was
you guys
Lavia in that game?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Was that?
No.
We played you back to back. Okay. You beat us in the league earlier in the week, and then it was the League Cup game midweek.
Yeah,
and we were so aggressive in our press at that time as well. But when you guys tried to return on us, it was Tonali in the 6, and this is what really helped in the screening. The other matchup I'm interested, because I think if this, you guys are right, if we are able to do this, obviously we're looking at Newcastle and the defensive posture here. We'll look at in a moment with us on the ball, but if we get this part right, if we get the balance right, Tonali screening Shaw, Burn, and Willock at least doing his best to hold up against Parma. Bobby, Isak versus Colwell, Murphy versus Cucurella, Gordon versus Chalabar / Caicedo. What's your thoughts about that? Is this a high risk strategy from Enzo Maresca?
Absolutely. but listen, I think this is why Caicedo is going to spend a lot of time in that corner. I think he's not going to get out of the right back position much with Gordon constantly there badgering him, right? So I think that's going to be more. He's probably going to be hanging around closer to the right back position than he would have been against, let's say, Liverpool. And you're going to need both. Isak would make a meal of Colwell. So that's a big worry. I think Chalobah is going to have to spend time with Isak, and Caicedo is going to have to stay home and take care of Gordon.
But I feel even if Caicedo stays home to take care of Gordon, Chalobah's a little bit closer to Caicedo because Gordon's going to want to get him out of his shape. Like take him out wide, get him out of his shape, and then come in. So I feel Chalobah's going to be ready for Gordon coming in, which then still leaves Isak one-on-one with Colwell.
And that's a problem for Chelsea.
So Tonali will go out on the left here because he plays left for Italy. Willock will push up, probably carry the ball as well. It's a high risk game. Okay, interesting. So let me just, before we move over to the chat, let me see how are Chelsea defensively, Bobby. What's how do you guys shape up defensively?
So look, I think. So let me just think about the patterns then without the ball. So yeah, Caicedo was pretty disciplined, I think, over the weekend against Liverpool. So I think he did a pretty good job with Liverpool's. Who did Liverpool? They had Gakpo over there. So Gakpo stayed pretty wide left from what I was watching. So he will stay at home. Chalobah's found some form and confidence. So he was definitely our best defender for the last couple of games. Colwell is a player that I don't really. He's very divisive in the fan base. He's got some good qualities passing out from the back, I think. Defensively, not great. always looking for the referee to make a call. So he's frustrating from that perspective. But I think the defenders have found some form, particularly with injury then that we've had to Fofana.
Yeah, you guys miss Fofana, isn't it?
Yeah, we do, but I think Chalobah's stepped up. So that defense, Maresca's been keeping it pretty stable, because that's the other problem that I've had with Maresca. Apart from not overlapping the fullbacks, every game he was bringing out new centre back partnership almost, and you just can't do that. But it's been pretty stable for the last few games, and that's reflected in the results.
Mitch, I'll let you chime in a moment. I'm just thinking in terms of sometimes how Newcastle can be in possession, and the opposition are defending. And what works for us sometimes, depending on how we want to break down on a position. Now, sometimes we really, if we focus on one side, for instance, if we're going to go to the left, Trippier will fall back here, and you'll have Shaw and you'll have Tonali pushing up, but you'll have Shaw, Botman, and Trippier at the back. And the same vice versa. If we're going if Trippier goes on the right, you'd have Shaw here, Burn here, and you'll have Livramento dropping back. The other cases which I like a lot sometimes because it gives us a bit more ability to keep a team pinned down is Tonali drops back, Shaw goes out here, Burn goes out here, and both Livramento and Trippier stay in the opposition halves, occupying the flanks here. And what that does is Madueke has to watch Trippier, Neto has to watch Livramento, and what happens is our left wing forwards in Gordon and Murphy are able to tuck in next to Isak here, with Bruno in a lot more advanced positions here. So sometimes we create these triangles here on the sides, the flanks here, where if you're not sharp enough, you can you'll find us cutting in. Likewise here, you'll have maybe Willock joining in. Palmer has to do a bit. I don't know how he is defensively. You can educate me on that, Bobby. Willock will test Palmer, Palmer's recovery runs, and his willingness to be disciplined and chop back. Because if he doesn't, Willock, Gordon, Livramento, and Isak will always gravitate to whatever side obviously is working out the most for him. And in this case, should the ball break to Chelsea, if you break down an attack or whatnot, and you want to hit it early, either for Palmer or directly, especially if you want to hit it directly to Jackson, we've got the pace and athleticism of Tonali to deal with either a Jackson or a Palmer situation here as well, or at least do enough to slow them down and await for Willock to come back and the rest of the team to come back. So Tonali offers that security with his athleticism and his willingness to be disciplined and to cover the centre backs. And it's what allows us to break down any transition attacks and to essentially recycle the ball and go back to trying to break down the opponents. So I think Tonali in this case will be absolutely key. Mitch, I don't know if you want to add anything or want to say anything in regards to how you think Newcastle will attack. What do you think we'll do?
In regards to keeping the ball, what you just had there was bang on, literally bang on. It would definitely, I definitely think we'll see Tonali dropping back in a lot more to dictate the game from there. The only thing that I feel would transform us again, as much as it sounds like I'm digging out Dan Burn here, is if Botman was in that position where we said previously you could potentially leave Lavia because you're not really going to see much from a deep pass. If you're looking at that,
about Botman,
if you're looking at that, both Shaw and Botman have got the ability to find the final ball.
Yeah.
So it makes us a much bigger threat than what it would be in the reverse when we was looking at Chelsea, when we was looking at Chelsea attacking. And like you said, even with the breakdown with Tonali's athleticism, if it goes straight into Jackson, I feel we've got that covered as long as we cover the runners when Chelsea spring their transition attack. As long as we make sure that we go with them, I feel like we'll have enough to defend what needs to be defended. My biggest worry is that what you've just highlighted, the first box you put there is Madueke against Trippier.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all really this Madueke guy really scares Newcastle, huh?
No, it's not. he's got zero end product, but his athleticism massively outweighs Trippier's. So it just opens up an avenue for him to somehow create something. But I think his end product's terrible.
Before Bobby, you come in there, I want to kind of go into it a little bit more. I agree on the athleticism of Madueke, and people know I don't mind him coming to Newcastle. What I've seen with Chelsea, especially in the Brighton games, I don't know if Bobby remember, you had 2 games against Brighton in the space of a week where you guys lost, I think, both 2-0.
Lost both. Yeah.
So and for me, those games came down to mentality from the Chelsea players, where they're almost like flat track bullies. They start off well, but then once Brighton raised their level, they stopped playing. Now, admittedly, it was Nkunku that played in the second game, and Nkunku and Palmer have zero chemistry compared to Palmer and Jackson, Palmer and Madueke and those guys there. So I'll let that be. But I just did sense that if Newcastle find a balance where, and I think, again, Tonali is going to be absolutely key to this, we don't necessarily, even if Madueke gets past Trippier here, and you get a situation, you've got Trippier one-on-one, the key is always Tonali. And Shaw will know this. And the key will always be not to necessarily try and go in a 1v1 here with Madueke. You're gonna die. The main thing is to try and slow down Madueke and wait for the others to get back. That's going to be the key. And if Newcastle can find that balance and have that ability, Bobby can let me know what his thoughts are. As I almost sense that with the crowd, with our players, with our mentality, that we can take the fire out of Chelsea. This isn't the Chelsea of Ballack and Drogba and those guys, in my opinion. So, but it is still a risk, but it's a risk that has to be taken if we want to keep on attacking. So I'll ask Bobby about that, but also, Bobby, just to add more questions, is I highlighted with Newcastle on the ball and Chelsea having to defend. Now I'll have to defend. I highlight key battles and players. So I don't know if I don't know what Palmer is like defensively. And so I wonder if he's going to it's all good playing against Willock in terms of when you're on the ball, Palmer, but how are you when Willock is running on the other end? Because if you're not here, you could cause a situation where you've got 2 versus 3 here. You can allow for overloads of Isaks and Gordon. So I would love to hear from Bobby what your thoughts are on Palmer defensively, but also on Fernandes defensively up against Bruno, who's going to try and create these, again, overloads, but also these triangles on this side as well. And Madueke. Yes, Madueke against Trippier, 1v1, open space, not good for Trippier. But Trippier on the ball, doing triangles with Murphy and Bruno, and I guess having the upper hand, and then you'll have Isak here floating in as well, trying to break the lines as well. Gordon tucking in is also a different situation. So does he have? What's your thoughts are there? I know I've asked a few questions there, but I guess my overall question is for you, Bobby, is how do you feel about Chelsea in these kind of defensive areas and some of the personal battles here, personal duels?
Sure. So just in terms of the 3 boxes, let's start with which one you want to start with? The top, the Madueke?
Yeah. I'm a sequential guy.
Sure. So to Mitch's concern about Trippier up against Madueke, so this is Newcastle in possession.
Yeah.
Madueke, I've not really been paying much to his defensive work recently. You get the occasional complaint, but I expect that he's going to be fired up for this game, so he's going to be playing his part. You will expect that Cucurella is going to stay home for most of the match, with Caicedo naturally ending up in midfield, right? So I think they'll try to keep Cucurella at home, so you always have that three at the back: Cucurella, Colwell, Chalobah. So I think what you will find is that on transition, Madueke is going to be pretty isolated, and it's going to be an opportunity to isolate him, so he doesn't get any support when he gets the ball up there. Enzo Fernandez doesn't have the pace to get up there and support him. So I think that's going to be a challenge for us on transition. But in terms of defensively, I expect Madueke will put in a shift.
Okay.
And he's pretty quick. He will put in a shift, and I expect Cucurella to stay at home. So I expect us to be pretty solid on Chelsea's left side of the pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, I expect that to be pretty solid, but I expect then risk for us on transition, because Madueke is going to tear away. The ball is going to end up with Enzo Fernandez, but he's not going to be up there if let's say Bruno G drops in and supports Trippier against Madueke, for example. He's not going to get any support from Cucurella because he's going to be disciplined and staying home, and Enzo Fernandez will not have the legs. Now, just going to that other box, Enzo Fernandez, as I indicated, was drilled past 3 times against Liverpool, 5th highest dribble pass player in the league. He also loses a lot of his duels. Okay. So he only won 3 of 8 duels against a drunk Liverpool. Okay. And got dribble past 3 times. So once he is
against the Spartan Newcastle.
He from what you're saying, he's gonna hate Bruno.
He's gonna hate Bruno.
It's giving me a problem. Okay. So I see that as particularly when you all get the jump on him, you're going to get past him quickly. So you can expect Lavia to be filling in there quite a bit behind Enzo. So you can expect Lavia's bias is going to be more towards the left side of our left side, exactly, to support in there. Cucurella will be staying home, right? So, but once Enzo Fernandez is in place, he tends to be okay. But if you look at the amount of, as I said, the amount of duels he lost in the last game, it was some weak stuff. Now going down to the Palmer actually wins quite a few of his duels. So I think that's an underrated part of his game. He's pretty industrious. He will get back and try to support as much as possible, I think, against Livramento. And I don't think he's going to get back in time for Gordon. But once he's in position, I think he's pretty decent. And he's not a guy either. Huh? Palmer's actually pretty tall. So you'll expect him to win some duels there and to put in a shift.
Some incredible insight. I'm gonna read a few of the chats.
And he doesn't get dribble pass either, by the way. Sorry, I just wanted to add that. He was only he only got dribble pass once. And for an attacker, that's not bad. Palmer, yeah.
That's very good.
Against Liverpool. Yeah, against Liverpool, that's pretty good, I think.
Who was his main matchup against Liverpool?
Curtis Jones.
Yeah, it would have been. Okay. Or was it Elliot?
I think it was Curtis Jones.
It would have been Curtis Jones. It would have been Jones.
Interesting to see this weekend then, because his main matchup should really be Joe Willock. And Joe Willock's main thing is trying to dribble past people, really. Like getting you one-on-one isolated and then just using his pace to just breeze past you if he can. So that'd be an interesting matchup, I think. Yeah.
Jackson will have to fill in a bit as well, otherwise, because Gordon's clever. He'll drop in sometimes if he needs to. It depends on how Willock wants to play. Okay, so I'm going to get you guys score predictions in a moment. I'm just going to read a few of the chats and then we'll end the show with your predictions. Natalie says also, oh, sorry, not Natalie. Lominos, Burn and Shaw worry me this game against Chelsea. They had their worst game against Jackson last time. They did. We played Chelsea away. I would start Botman because we made Jackson look like prime all night. Natalie, also, we just love to give players their first ever goal, or if we haven't scored in a while. So I'm seeing open play, goal Palmer in the horizon. Oh, don't say that, but 3-1 to the Toon. All right, yeah, say that part. Great. I'll read that part. Mike, good to see you. God bless you, sir. And UFC Talk TV here. Evening, Philip and Queen. Hope you guys are well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good. Living life to the full here. Queen of Heart. This is a game where defense needs to be there. Otherwise, we have a habit of sitting back and allowing a side to pull down the shorts and allowing them to score. We do that at times. Mighty Mag, you guys are talking about great. See you guys greeting each other. Natalie here. I really think we need Gordon for this game. Yeah, that's why. Absolutely. I think I see him playing. The more we were talking, though, the more I'm tempted to have Barnes over Willock, but it'll be Willock. It'll definitely be Willock. Just for the defensive balance, I think. Queen of Heart, come on, guys. Hit that like. Yes, guys, please do hit the like button, folks. It helps the channel out. Absolutely. I'm trying not to be caught short in any fashion. Oh, I think you guys are talking amongst yourselves here. Oh, Aaron Cave, good to see. Oh, no, sorry, passed it there. I passed a few people there. My apologies. Liam Knowles, Casado would have issues with Tino bombing on. The worry is Neto being ready to spring on the counter. Yeah, it's whatever Chelsea do, we have an answer. Whatever we do, Chelsea have an answer. It's just going to be that kind of game. Liam Knowles, Brazil versus Argentina. I think that's Bruno and Fernandes. And we know there's going to be some racism in that. in that one. Battle in the center of the pitch screams fireworks. Absolutely. Queen of Heart, watch out for football fireworks in the World Cup. Yeah, absolutely. William Smith, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Bernard Shaw on anyone is terrifying. Shaw has to sit. Folks I'm worried about Shaw here, for real. Binoy, good to see you, sir. Let's go Toon Tactics. Yes, sir. Good to see you. God bless you, sir. Aaron Camp. Sorry I'm late. I hope everyone is well. Yes, sir. I definitely start Botman, who will do a better job occupying Palmer than we press up the pitch. So a lot of calls here for Palmer. Got a few more here, a few more chats, and then we'll get you guys score predictions. Adrian Pickett, great show, lads. Top notch. Thank you, sir. And we have great guests and great chat. That's what makes it amazing. Would like to see Barnes start over Willock personally. That would be interesting. Aaron Kemp, definitely need a better game from Tino. Can see Neto and Madueke overloading that side of the pitch. That is a possibility. Well, guys, I've Mitch and Bobby, you guys have been absolutely immense, and I'm already worried that it's midnight. So, guys, do let me know your score predictions for this game. I'll start off with you, Bobby. What's your? Well, yeah, go on, Bobby. You go first. Or we can go. You are our special guest, both. But seeing as that you're a child, do you want us to go first, or do you want to go last?
No, I can go. Look, I mean, if it's what we just laid out there, and I think Mitch and I are on the same page with that, pocket of space right behind Caicedo, and based on the right backs that were played today and how much minutes they're on the pitch, I think that situation will exist. And if it does, I fear that Newcastle is going to do us 2-0.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I keep it realistic, man. I'm not an eagle or one of these guys that just do the tribal stuff. I just keep it real. And I'm telling you, if that lineup is there with that space behind Caicedo, it could be a problem.
To be fair, that's rare. You see, it's very rare you hear anybody go against their team these days on any channel anywhere. Yeah. So that's respect for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the scoreline?
I came into the show thinking 2-1 Newcastle, and I'm leaving thinking 3-1 Newcastle, because the more we spoke about it, I feel the matchups just work out better for us. And where the last bit where Bobby was saying that Lavia will cover in behind Fernandes more, just allows for us to play down our stronger side of the pitch, which is the left a bit more without Lavia being there. So I feel that's added an extra goal on for me. So I'm going 3-1 Newcastle.
Wow. Okay. Now I feel under pressure. I'm like, sheesh. you both have 2 goal differences, like 3-1s and 2-0s here. And there's a few in the chat here. Wobojog, Arsenal fan, good to see you. Need Chelsea to win after yesterday's result, and Isaac can help with the pain in the summer. Chelsea to win, never. I would say 1-1, never ever. Thank you, Wobojog. Appreciate you though. Aaron Cave, 2-0 to the Toon, Isaac and Willock. Redemption. Love that. With Queen of Heart 2-2, I stand by it as this has the potential to go end to end. That is true. Adrian Pickett 3-2. I hope that's to Newcastle, Adrian. I assume it is. Scoreline. I think it'll be 2-1 to Newcastle. The key is going to be what Palmer does and what mood he's in. For Chelsea. But I agree with what you guys were saying. I feel like Lavia is having to put out a lot of fires if Enzo plays. But I'll go for 2-1 Newcastle. Goal on Isak. Isak with a goal on Gordon. So they're both from that left-hand side.
I reckon, okay. Yeah, my third would be the Willock goal. I reckon it's Isak, Gordon, Willock.
That'll be true redemption. Okay, folks. So come to the end of the show. We've talked about some of the transfer news. We gave like an overall opinion on the potential transfer spend and players coming in, players coming out, people that we prefer not to have. What's the point of having Jacob Ramsey? Is he better than Willock? That's something we're going to talk about for the next show as well. But we did probably the most comprehensive, I feel like, one of the most comprehensive tactical breakdowns of a game I've ever done on the channel. So I'm really thankful to both Mitch and Bobby for that. It's been absolutely incredible. In the chat, you guys have been through the roof today, off the chain. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And Bobby, I don't know if you wanted folks to know your X account, or if
sure, yeah, I've got it there. So it's at Bobby Fairview, just one word on X. And Philip, you would notice that I've been trying to be supportive of your content, and it's not. I'm not I'm not moonlighting as a Newcastle fan. It's more that I like to see substantive content, not this kind of drama, reality TV, fake, Yeah. People, like, I'm one of these fans that wants to learn more about the game, and I get a lot of insight from your content. So I appreciate the invitation, my friend. It was a delight being here. Mitch, pleasure to meet you, man. We agreed on a lot more than I expected. It was a complete pleasure.
Thank you so much, Bobby. Mitch, where can the folks find you, sir?
You will find me on a channel called Where the Owls Sleep, which at some time we will explain exactly what it means, because everybody looks at me like I'm crazy when I say the name. Sunday evenings, 9 p.m. We like to talk about anything football. And that's me, really. Or Spurs Kings TV. Both me and Philip moonlight on Spurs Kings Mondays and Wednesdays, similar times. Catch us there.
Excellent.
Also, before we go, I'd like to say, Philip, pleasure as always. Love coming on. Thank you for having me. And Bobby, fantastic chat. Great to meet you, mate. Hopefully jump on another stream sometime together soon.
Respect.
Pleasure. Sorry, go on, Bobby.
No, I just said respect.
Yes, sir. Well, pleasure is all mine. Real incredible show. The chat has been incredible. The guests, amazing. Folks, as always, have a great evening. Look after each other. And as always, God bless, folks. Take care now.